we're going to go fast because I want to answer questions. I'm really grateful to be invited by Kyle. Great to meet new friends. And I hope you can always access me. I was thinking about that. I do have a QR code. Just type your name in and say, hey, we met. Was it 3M? So whatever it takes, let's go and talk. Did I go the right direction? Okay, I'm going to blast through this, and I want to talk about 3 elements that I have learned over mistakes that will help anyone, not just form a business, but be trusted as a leader. And it's simple, but I want to express it through a couple of images. First of all, just before COVID, I took my 4th trip to Base Camp Everest. And so this is a picture of some of the friends that I took along. And we're shouting and saying, yes, we made it, and we called it D3. Let's do a D3 pose. Everyone, yes, which means diarrhea-free. We're in the 3rd world. We are schlepping it through whatever it takes to get there. And ultimately, our goal is to get to base camp. But it almost invariably happens, one of them didn't make to the top. Didn't make it as in, just didn't make it to the top. Couldn't do it. He actually hit a wall, and we had to helicopter him out. What happened was, he was a fit, buff dude. Greg, I won't tell you his last name. He would take a few steps. We are at about 17,500 feet up, so you're about 50% oxygen. And his heart rate would go from a normal 90 at that point, resting is 90, all the way up to 190, 200. So he got really dizzy. And he'd have to stop, we'd have to stop the whole gang, wait for him. 10 minutes later, his heart rate would come down to normal, 90. Feel better, and take a few steps and spike up. There's no way we could go forward. So we had to helicopter him out, and the rest of us continued. I'm sharing that with you because I want to talk about how and I'm calling it the 3 C's of effective leadership. Okay? And leadership for me comes down to building trust. It's got to be where people want to follow you because they feel safe. And no matter what the size of your organization is as a startup, or whether you've got a massive enterprise, we can feel this as we go through this. Number 1, and I'm putting it in order of easiness to build. And I'm going to talk about communication this way. Communication for me is not what you say. It's whether or not they received it in the way that it was intended. It's not what you say, how you say it. It's whether or not they received it. And I can tell you right now, when Greg was having trouble up there at high altitude, I said, Greg, we can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to support you going for the last leg all the way to base camp because you're not going to make it. And I want to take care of your safety. Do you understand me in that fog brain of yours, right? And then he mumbled something. He was on oxygen. He had an oxygen pulse oximeter on him, and we could see where his O2 reading was. And he mumbled something like, yes. And then I said, no, that's not good enough. Tell me what you understood of what I just said. This is important, right? Did I communicate clearly? Did you understand? And he said, you support me going down. I cannot go up. I'm okay with that. Great. It worked. We communicated. He understood. My kids will attest. Even my wife, Angela, cutie pie, she is so focused on certain things, she zones out, right? So I'm leaving the house. Hey, sweetie, I'm going to go do this and this. She's on the computer. Yeah. And I said, I'll stop. What did I just say, please? Because this is what we figured out after being together for a long time. She goes, you said you're leaving and you'll come back such as. I said, thank you. Right? And off we go. It's simple things like that. And I tell my CEOs, hey, if you have a verbal, make sure you follow it up with a written, whether it be text or whatever, so that there's no ambiguity. Because everyone's got their heads busy in this project, this and this. And you're walking by and you say something and you say, I told him. And then you have issues down the road and you wonder why. Everyone's got noise. You got to be very clear about it. I'm going through this fast because I want to answer some questions. The second one is this. I mean, even if you go back to communication, if you know that you're going to be late for a meeting and you tell people, I'm going to be a few minutes late, does that make you feel good, right? Oh, good. She didn't forget. Communication is so easy to build trust. What if the person doesn't talk well, communicate right, but they always show up? They always do what they say. That builds trust and consistency, right? So on many Everest trips, I've taken 4, on this particular Everest trip, there was this particular person who was having trouble losing some of the excess weight she had gained from just having a baby. And she wanted to go. I said, okay, let's see what you can do. Her name is Deirdre. I said, can you just do this and this and this? And she reported every day she did this, 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 this. She reported she wanted accountability. She was consistent. Guess what? She made it. She made it to the top. Past Greg. Because she was consistent at work. Right? It's almost like, I trust you because you always do what you say you do. You always show up. That gives me a level of trust. And as a leader, I will trust you more, leader, if you do what you say. There's so much I can tell you and share with you. Last one is competency, because you don't want to go to a doctor who is a surgeon and he didn't go to school, right? You've got to have at least a level of expertise in your area, of whatever it is, websites to strategy to whatever. You've got to build that. But this one I think is harder, right, in terms of how long it takes to build the expertise. You can be a competent, trusted leader from day one just by working on communication, being clear, confirming receipt of message, making sure you're consistent. When it comes to competency, I have seen brilliant MBA, Harvard people who are superbly gifted intellectually and smart. I actually had a startup where I had such a companion, but he lost trust because he thought he could wing it. He was not consistent because he was smart. And he never communicated intentions or checked for understanding. Can you see that? I just think these two can trump this ultimately, because people will believe you and say, okay, maybe he's not the most brilliant CEO, but he cares, he communicates, he always shows up. I'll follow him. Make sense? And I am blasting through this. Please contact me through here. Business cards no longer exist. Whether you take a photo there or it's outside there. And I am available to help communicate, connect with anyone here. I will help anyone. I have a whole story as to why I started what I've started, but we don't have enough time. But I do want to help any one of you. And I'm, 8 minutes? Oh, I'm a stickler for timing. My father was in the British Army. I want to help answer any questions the rest of the time. Any questions, any topic. Doesn't matter. There's no sacred topic. Anything. From families to businesses to employees. Questions. Sir?
What are some moments when you realized you were struggling with communication?
Oh, that would be 10 hours worth of. So I have so many. Easy. Hey, VP, we got to do this, and this is a priority. Is that good? Can you make that, bump that up? And the VP says, yeah. This is me being CEO. Got it. All right, good. All right, boom, take off, right? And you go, what happened? What I failed to do was ask, VP, what other priorities do you have that would conflict with making my request number one? I didn't do that. I didn't check. I just was moving from one thing to another. I got another meeting. I did this. Just cold. It just didn't work. And so you then have a gap. And then you have a gap in you. And for me, it's fuming. Where's that gap? How come you didn't do it? Stories building up. Right? It's stupid. All I had to do is just ask at that point, what else you've got? What would stop you from making it number one? Voice. I've got lots. That's it. Anybody else? Questions?
The idea of being overwhelmed. I'm curious if you have kind of thoughts on techniques or things that one should do as a leader when you are the one feeling overwhelmed, which it's me from time to time. It's just like, oh, there's so much, or there's so much like hard to prioritize or things like that. Just seeing that word, hearing what you said, are their initial approaches and things you'd say, like, when you feel that, you should do this, or things you say.
Brilliant question. So let me tackle it in multiple ways and I'll go fast, okay? Number one, if you're a solo contributor versus you've got a team, the solo contributor, it almost goes to, it's a little deep, but it goes back to, do you know who you are and what your purpose is? Important way I phrase that. Because if you know what your purpose is, stay with me, then you'll know what your activity should be in what order of priority in life, not just work. And if you're really disciplined, then you spend every week figuring out what's important, what allocation of time you'll have for that. You can see. Otherwise, you're just spinning like a hamster in a wheel because you're chasing something, but you don't know who you are, what your purpose is. It's a bit deep. But I want to jump in. Number two, if you've got a team, you have to learn how to let go. Because we started everything up, we solved every problem by ourselves. Then you have to learn how to delegate, which goes back to consistency, communication, and competence. You got to acquire those skills, right? And the prioritization of what's important to delegate to, who's best at doing it. It's a quick response. That's great. Does that help? Does that help? One over there. Yes.
I was wondering if a CEO reaches out to you with top one or two problems or situations that they're having this company, reach out to you.
I'll give you the top two with no hesitation. Number one, work-life balance. This is just completely frayed. Their health is usually poor. They have sniffles, you can even see it. I have one current CEO who said, thank you. What? Just, you told me to go see a doctor. I've got low testosterone. I'm just 40. Now I know why I'm dragging. Work-life balance. Right? Goes back to even your question. Number two, without any doubt, I call it unconscious incompetence. They're not aware of their fear-driven mindset that sucks their effectiveness, their ability to make magic happen, because they're not even aware of it. You think it'd be, strategy, pricing, product market fit, which is all important in the tech world. This UI, unconscious incompetence, just, if you look at this formula, it drains it. If this is a formula where you have these elements on top and it's a denominator, any number more than one is going to crucify the effectiveness.
I do have a question. How do you know when you need to end when you're not a good fit for an overwhelmed tech CEO? Or when they're not a good fit for you?
Okay, are you talking about for the business or for me, the coach?
The coach.
Okay, when do I know they're not a good fit? When they're not teachable. I call them turds. It's a very technical term. right? I don't associate with turds. I don't have time. I don't want to waste my time. But you can tell, it's just not ready, right? So you want to help them and offer, but if you have to push string, it's not going to work. So I don't work with turds. We're running out of time.
One more question.
So, following up on that question, you got a CEO who's a term. Do you have that conversation with them? You tell the CEO they have the conversation. What's that look like? Is it a surprise to them if they're now creative founder?
I'm going through, there's a myriad of responses to that. It depends on who recommended that person to come to me. If it was a self-aware CEO saying, I need help, I tell him, dude, I have somebody else that I can refer you to, right? I think there may be a better match, especially if they're not ready to receive that message directly. It's a sort of a glancing blow of a response. If it's the VC, well, that's easy to do. Yes, part of the reason why you have a problem with this company is the CEO is not humble. I cannot help this particular CEO. And it's good, it's accurate, straight to the point, and it's not taken in any squirmy fashion, it's just delivered. The older I get, the more direct I become. Because it's the only accurate, honest way to conduct life. I'm a stickler for time. We've run out of 15 minutes. Thank you for asking questions.
Final question from the CEO.